All right, I've managed to now grab Milly Bennett here for an interview. She's one of our home club Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club teams, and she's been involved in match racing now for quite a few years, and she's with an all-girls racing team, the Max Racing team, and performing quite well at this event and in some events in the past few months. So, first of all, Milly, it's your home club, home waters, and the boats that you've been training on personally for the past few months and since they arrived about a year ago. Do you think that brings you much of an advantage, being on that home turf?
For sure, especially in a place like Pittwater where it's really shifty, just having that local knowledge just past training experiences really gives you that edge, knowing what's going to happen next with the wind. And especially just having time on the boats is really good for us because these are the same as the Kiwi and the CY boats, so now when we head over there we get a bit more of an advantage as well, having the same boats.
Yeah, so all the clubs grabbing the same sort of equipment is probably going to help out in the long run. How does that affect if you end up going to some international events where you've done all your events in Elliott Sevens? If you end up overseas, is that then going to be a disadvantage, or do you think you can balance that out?
Yeah, we found that when we went to Perth actually in the BW8. They're a bit heavier, so the pre-start tactics were a bit different. It was a bit hard to get our head around it, but it's a good challenge to go over and do something, and I guess we'll have to overcome that by training in different boats down here. But for all the basics, the Elliott Sevens are perfect for that.
Yeah, excellent. And being a girls' team and generally a little bit lighter, to get up to the weight limit, you're probably one of the few teams here that's sailing the boats 5 up. Does that help you in your manoeuvres, or are the boats more crowded with the 5? Do you see that as an advantage?
Yeah, we do find it's a bit more crowded, but I think with the asymmetricals, the 5 people, especially because we're quite small, it's actually really helpful. We've been training 4 up, but you get the 5th person on there and they're just backing people up, making it better, so I don't see it as a disadvantage at all.
Yeah, fantastic. And how do you manage the communication on board? It's very easy if you've got 5 people to get a lot of voices and maybe not the information you need, but also you've got the potential there to get all the information you need. How do you balance that out amongst the team?
So we've got very divided roles and everyone does a specific job, and we're lucky enough to have been sailing together for 2 years now, so we've kind of got our communication down pat. So I'd say one of our strongest points at this stage as a team. So it took a while to get it all sorted out, but I think we're really good at it now.
Yeah, fantastic. What about the decision making on board? Does that get split up across different parts of the racetrack? Is there lots of input from different areas, or is there one person that takes charge?
Yeah, that's a question again.
Yeah, no worries. So just about your decision making, not just the plain communication of what's going on board, is there one person that takes charge, or do you split it up amongst different people? How's that work?
Well, naturally with 5 people there's a lot of talk that goes on, so we do try and split it up and have different people doing different roles and sending in different information to, like, for their job, whatever's easiest for them to call. So downwind, obviously the bowman's going to have a bit on like calling breeze or like relatives because they're up doing stuff there, or the trimmer obviously isn't going to call tactics. So
sure.
We've got divided roles, and people at the back generally doing tactics and people at the front helping out with relatives and puff calls.
Yeah, fantastic. So I read some stuff in press releases discussing the seating for this event and how that all works. Now, the ISAF rankings are split between men and women, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you're currently 9th in the world out of the women's rankings. But then how we seed it is a bit of a challenge. How do you see racing against the guy teams in this sort of event? Is that something that you really look forward to? Do you prefer the women's event like you had in Perth a few weeks ago? What's your opinion on that?
Well, if we look at our rankings of the women's events, we're closer to the top, so find it a bit easier, although there's a lot of really good women match races out there, so just looking at a challenge. But it is nice racing against the boys and just being challenged so that we've got a bit more motivation for our training, knowing where we need to get to.
Yeah, fantastic. And do you think that you can easily win events like this against the boys, or how do you find that advantage or disadvantage?
Yeah, I don't think sailing as a girls team is a disadvantage. Obviously we've got a bit less muscle, but in these boats we can get around that and we can go to the gym and compensate for that as much as possible. But yeah, no, I think we could definitely win an open event, especially in these boats.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, going back to that kind of training in these boats, it's something that you can really work towards. Okay, so what sort of future plans have you got for after this event? Kind of, short and long term. Anything coming up?
Yeah, so short term, hopefully we'll get to go to nationals in Perth, the Open Nationals, and again race against the boys. Will be a bit trickier in the bigger boats. And then hopefully next year we'll do a few international events and just get a few more points on our ISAF ranking.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for taking a bit of time to chat. We might catch up with you again later on the weekend. But we got some breeze back in now, and looks like it's going to be some fun racing. So good luck for the rest of the day.
Perfect.